So we'll be discussing about the genetically engineered or genetically modified organisms today. Like one of the applications of microbes is into genetic engineering also. Yes, all of us know. You all have heard about genetic engineering, all of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
one of the applications of microorganisms is in the field of genetic engineering. Okay. So what do you think? What is genetic engineering? What is genetic engineering?
Changing the DNA sequence of microbes.
Yes. So we genetically modify those organisms. Okay. So whatever the traits of one particular organism is, those organisms are genetically modified according to our benefits or our industrial or medical purposes. Okay. So we'll be discussing one by one the examples about it. So it is what it is. It is the recombinant DNA technology which is used. Okay, it is the recombinant DNA technology which is used. What do we understand by recombinant DNA? The term recombinant DNA. What do we?
Some part of the DNA is attached
There
again.
is combination. Okay, there is a combination of two DNAs. Okay, two recombinant DNA technology where you use two DNAs from DNAs from two different organisms, and that is which is combined to give you the traits of your favorite which you want, which you are interested in. So that is recombinant DNA technology used into genetic engineering. Okay, and what does it do? It introduces the genes into microbes and other cells. Okay, so and then they help produce metabolites of commercial or that's our medical importance. That's what I told you. So according to your commercial value, you modify the organism according to, like, it is for insulin, for vitamin production, or for amino acid production, or enzyme production. So most the reason to prefer microbes is because microbes grow rapidly. Okay. Why do we do this recombination technology in microbes? Because the growth rate is faster. Hmm? Growth rate is faster. That is why we do this by using the help of microorganisms. And even the like the input cost becomes less for them. While they're doing insulin production, vitamin, and if they're using microbes, the production increases, the rate increases because the growth rate is more. So obviously their product amount is more. Okay, using microbes is much environmental friendly. Yes, it is environmental friendly to use microbes than the chemical synthetic methods. Okay, and they use less energy and less renewable resources. We know that if we use microorganisms, it is it is environmental friendly to use microorganisms, and they consume less amount of energy and use renewable resources. Okay, clear? Hafsa is there today. Hafsa,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
yes, I hope you are understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. So this is also called as GMMs or GMOs. Okay, so whenever you come through the short form GMO or GMM, it is GM stands for genetically modified microorganisms. If you say it is GMM, and if you say GMO means genetically modified organisms. Okay, so if you come across the term GMO, so what we are doing today is the application of microorganisms in genetic engineering. Have found applications in human health, agriculture, bioremediation, and in industries such as food, paper, and textiles. So it has applications. This genetic engineering has applications in food, paper, and textile industry, also in agriculture, and health sector also offers sufficient supply of desired products. Okay, so the amount of product is more, and cheaper production cost. If you're using organisms, I told you the production cost is less, and it is safe handling or otherwise dangerous chemicals. If they use, it is dangerous in handling. Okay, these organisms can be safely handled. Okay, then how do we do this? Molecular tools for genetic engineering of microorganisms. How do we do it? We do it with the help of a gene transfer method. We use cloning vectors. We use promoters. and selectable marker genes to identify recombinant microorganisms. Okay, so the first thing is by gene transfer. You understand the term gene transfer, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So whatever is our desired gene, okay, the gene of interest is transferred from the first step. Okay, the first step will be gene transfer. So whatever is your gene of interest is transferred to the organism of your interest. Then cloning vectors, you clone it. Okay, cloning is what? What is cloning? Cloning means what is cloning? Similar copies, no? Cloning is what? Similar copies, cloning vectors. So you need vectors. Vectors are carriers. Vectors are what? Carriers. So it is cloning vectors. So similar copies are multiplied. Cloning vectors. Vector is a carrier. Then promoter. Promoters to control the expression of desired genes. Now, in some cases, if you want to stop the expression of a particular gene, okay, you don't want this character to be expressed. Okay, so you have to, they use promoters to control the expression of desired gene. I think in your genetics you would have started with genetic engineering or something of this. First semester over, no? So in genetics they would
Yes,
have
ma'am.
taught you something related to genetic engineering. Cloning, gene transfer. I think this is done.
Genetic engineering in second sem, ma'am.
Okay, but you have an idea of this now, no? After you have done the first semester of genetics, I guess you have an idea of gene transfer and all this. Hmm? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Stotra is there today.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Stotra can answer little loudly. Hmm?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Then selectable marker genes to identify recombinant microorganisms. Okay. Now, after you are done with this, you need to identify your selected organisms. Okay. You need to identify your recombinant organisms. Not the recombinant means in which the modification has been done. Okay. So for that you need the marker genes. Marker genes, selectable marker genes. They will help you in identifying your recombinant organism. Okay, we will do this in detail in the coming slides. So first is gene transfer. Now, how will you transfer your gene of interest? Okay, first is by transformation, or you can use the electroporation method also. Transformation, you have heard about transformation. Transformation, transduction, conjugation, you have heard, no?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
So in this, what transformation is the general process where the recipient organism it accepts the plasmid when they are in a physiological stage of competence. So it is you maybe you remember the cells they there is a transfer of plasmid from one to another. Okay. Then is electroporation. Electroporation is with the help of electrode shock. Okay. See, the method is to transform the DNA. Now, this is a naturally occurring process. Transformation is a naturally occurring process. But here, electroporation, you use high voltage electric shock. Now, it is this method originally used to transform eukaryotic cells. What do they do? High voltage pulses make recipient cells electrocompetent. Okay, so they transfer high voltage current, and with this, what happens? The transient pores are formed. In the recipient cell. Pores are formed in the cell membrane as a result of this electric shock, allowing the uptake of the desired DNA. Getting it? This transformation is a natural process where the DNA is naturally transferred to the another. But here in this case, what do? They give high voltage pulse shock to the recipient cells. And because of shock, what will happen? There will be pores in the membrane. There will be pores in the cell membrane. As a result, what will happen? Because of these pores, the DNA will enter into the cell. Okay? Getting it? Electroporation. Clear electroporation, Bhavani?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then is conjugation. Conjugation, what do you do? Conjugation, there is a conjugation tube. In conjugation, what happens? There is a conjugation tube which is formed. This method involves a donor strain that contains both the gene of interest and the origin of transfer. Okay, that is called as ORIT. Is someone trying to enter? So, in conjugation, it involves a donor strain that contains both the gene of interest and the origin of transfer. Okay, so there will be a donor. Of course, you need a donor because you need the gene of your interest. Okay, you will take there will be two cells in one which will have the gene of your interest, and the other will be your recipient organism. Okay, or recipient cell. So from this donor, you have to transfer your desired gene into the other cell. So what, and in this case, what do they do? It involves a donor which contains the gene of interest and also the origin of transfer, that is ORI-T on a plasmid. It is called as ORI-T, origin of interest, origin of transfer, and the gene encoding transfer function. Okay, so the contact between donor and recipient DNA transform occurs. In this case, when there is a contact between the donor and the recipient cell, there is a formation of conjugation tube. With the help of this, there will be transfer of DNA from the donor to the recipient. Okay, conjugation also you all have studied.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am.
So here it is. It is from here in this case, the donor cell and the recipient cell of your interest, they are brought close in contact so that there is transfer of the desired gene from this donor to the recipient. Okay, and then comes the vectors. Okay, so cloning vectors to carry out genetic modifications depend upon the choice of the gene transferred. Okay, so which gene are you want to transfer? So cloning vectors depends upon that. Now coming to the promoters. Promoter is a segment of DNA that regulates the expression of the gene under its control. Okay, so the gene expression, it depends upon the promoter. You have studied this, no? Promoter part in black operon.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it is a segment of a DNA. Okay, it is finally what it is. It is a part of a DNA that regulates the expression of gene under its control. So the gene expression is actually controlled by the promoter. So you have studied lacoperon, and if you remember that the presence and the absence of promoter, it matters. Yes, the promoter is the segment which it regulates the expression of the gene under its control. Okay, so in this you have constitutive promoter and inducible promoter. So the constitutive promoter is continuously active and the inducible promoter activate only under certain conditions. You remember this, no? Lacoperon, when you have studied, the promoter, when it is inducible, hmm, it is active only in certain conditions. Presence of inducer, absence of inducer, you can recollect the lacoperon. So that is the
Yes, ma'am.
part of this DNA which regulates the expression of the gene. Okay. Then coming to the selectable marker genes. So out of the set of the genes, which portion comes under your selectable marker? Which section is responsible for coding your gene of interest? Okay, so which often encodes proteins conferring resistance to antibiotics for identifying transformants. Okay, so the portion of the gene which is responsible for resistance to antibiotics. Okay, so you need to select that portion which is responsible for resistance to a particular antibiotic. So this organism can be used against resistance to antibiotics. Okay, getting it? So this is done in case of plants. Hmm? This is done in case of plants. They insert this gene so that it becomes resistant to those kind of pesticides and all. Hmm? Strategies for genetic engineering of microorganisms. Okay, so how do we do it? Disruption of complete removal of undesired genes or their pathways, overexpression of target gene, high expression is a drawback. Okay, it leads to segregation of desirable genes and loss of desired traits, and improving protein production properties. Okay, so this is how we strategize and plan your genetic engineering protocol. First is removal of undesired genes. So you need to remove those undesired genes which are in the segment. Then the overexpression of target genes. So the target gene should not be overexpressed also, because high expression has its own drawbacks. Okay, so it leads to segregation of desirable genes and loss of desired traits, and then improving the protein production properties. So it also, you should also concentrate on improving the protein production of it. Hmm? Approaches to enhance product yield. Now, how will you increase your product yield? You also have to think when you're doing this. You also have to think how you will increase your product yield. Hmm? So, overcoming rate limiting steps, eliminating feedback regulation, manipulating regulatory genes. Okay. So this is what you have to do. You have to overcome the rate of limiting steps. You have to eliminate feedback regulation, manipulate regulatory genes. Regulatory genes, you remember? Lacoperon, regulatory genes. Hmm? You remember regulatory genes? Lacoperon. If you think of the structure, you will remember. Okay. It was there in 12th, no? Lacoperon structure.
Yes, ma'am.
So regulatory genes were also there, no?
Yes, ma'am. Three regulatory genes.
Yes, three regulatory genes. Which are they? Do you remember? Deepak is present today.
No, ma'am.
Deepak also absent in the last class. Harish,
Yes, ma'am.
regulatory genes, you remember? Don't remember? Okay. Who will tell me? All of you forgot. Rishita, regulatory genes. Okay, think and tell me. Then coming to applications. Now, what we are studying today, I was just bringing you to a track like how genetic engineering is done and how they modify the genes. Okay. Now we were studying about the applications. Now, how these microbes actually come into our applications in the real life. How we can modify the organisms genetically and bring how it is being used into our different sectors of health, industry, agriculture, environment. Okay, so first coming to human health. hmm, how these are used. It is used as human insulin. It is used as human growth hormone. hmm. So the first one was in 1978 by Herbert Boyer. These come under recombinant therapeutic proteins. Okay, therapeutic word, when you use the word therapeutic, means it is for your health. Okay, therapies which are for your related to your health. Okay, so the first one was by Herbert Boyer, 1978. First recombinant therapeutic protein approved by the FDA in 1982 was produced genetically engineering E. coli containing human insulin gene. Okay, so this was done by genetically modifying the E. coli. E. coli, we know it is the most common one. So human insulin gene was modified using E. coli. This was first done in 1982. Then human growth hormone, the HGH, you would have heard about this, the growth hormone, was approved by FDA in 1985, was produced by modified E. coli strain containing native human growth hormone gene. Okay, this was also you modified using the E. coli strain containing human growth hormone gene. Okay, so the human growth hormone gene was extracted and modified with the help of E. coli strain in 1985. Okay, then another one is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. You have heard about this. It has application in industry. It is called as baker's yeast because mostly used in baking products, bakery products. So Saccharomyces cerevisiae is called as a baker's yeast. You have heard about Saccharomyces cerevisiae? Have you all
Yes,
heard?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So it is mostly used in our beverage of industry of this bakers for all baking things. So it is called as baker's yeast, and it produces hepatitis B virus vaccine based on the hepatitis B surface antigen. Hmm. The trade name is Energrix B. So it not only used in our baking industry but also produces vaccine against hepatitis B surface antigen. Okay, so it is used in the production of hepatitis B surface antigen vaccine. Okay, then one more thing is to eradicate rabies, anti-rabies gamma globulin treatment. Anti-rabies gamma globulin treatment, recombinant vaccines are made for rabies also. Hmm? This is about the health sector of animals. Then coming to textile industry. Okay, textile industry, alpha amylase of Bacillus stereothermophilus. Hmm? This is one of the examples, alpha amylase enzyme of Bacillus stereothermophilus. So amylases have been used for to remove starch sizes from fabrics. Okay, this enzyme amylase is used for many years to remove starch from fabrics. Okay, this is known as desizing. The process is called as desizing. So originally amylases from plant or animal sources were used, but later they were replaced by amylases of bacterial origin. So initially what amylases they were using, it was from plant or animal source, but now it has been replaced with the amylases from bacterial origin. Okay, so those which are released by the bacterial cells. Getting it, Hafsa?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Amarnath is also there, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it clear, Amarnath? Are you understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then coming to agriculture. How we have the applications of these GMOs in agriculture sector. So the nitrogen fixing genes NIF-L and NIF-A. NIF stands for nitrogen fixing genes, can be inserted into Rhizobium meliloti strain of bacteria, thereby increase the amount of nitrogen fixed by these bacteria. Nitrogen fixing, we had studied that day in the previous classes. We have seen the application under environmental applications. We have studied nitrogen fixation by the microbes. Yes, Shiv Prasad. Yes, you were present, no? So we have studied the nitrogen fixation by different is the application of microbes in environmental sector. So by doing genetic engineering, okay, by modifying it, what do? They fix these NIF-L and NIF-A genes can be inserted into rhizobium strain, and what it does, it increases the amount of nitrogen fixed by these bacteria. Getting it? Naveshri?
Yes,
Naveshri,
ma'am.
did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
What are they doing? They're increasing the amount of nitrogen fixation. Okay, they're increasing the amount of nitrogen fixation by these bacteria with the help of this What are they doing? They are inserting NIF-L and NIF-A genes. Those have selected the genes. Huh? We have studied how do they do genetic engineering. In the previous slides, I showed you how do they do this process. So first, you have to select your gene of interest. You have to select your gene of interest. So they've selected the NIF-L and NIF-A genes, which are responsible for nitrogen fixation. And those genes, what do they do? They insert into Rhizobium melanotis strain of bacteria. So what happens when it is inserted? The amount of nitrogen fixed by these bacteria increases. Okay, increasing the amount of nitrogen fixation by these bacteria. Okay, okay, all of you. Then
Yes, ma'am.
next is indigo. We have heard about indigo, no? What it is? Indigo is a color.
Blue color.
It is a
Pigment.
color. Yes, it is a color. Okay, so it has wide application in industry, hmm, in fabrics industry. Okay, so it has in paper industry. So it has many this indigo color. So it was first originally isolated from plants. It is used to dye both cotton and wool. It is used to dye cotton and wool, also used in paper industry. It has wide applications. So this was originally isolated from plants. But now with the help of genetic engineering, what they have done, this recombinant E. coli bacteria, E. coli bacteria was inserted with plasmid NaH7, is used for producing indigo by biotechnological method. Okay, so when we do genetic engineering, it is called as biotechnology. It comes under biotechnological methods. So what do they do? Instead of extracting this pigment from plants, they are doing it from recombinant E. coli bacteria. And how? They have inserted this NaH7 plasmid into E. coli. Okay, when you insert some plasmid or gene into a bacterial cell, it becomes a recombinant cell. Okay, it becomes a recombinant cell. So this E. coli is now a recombinant E. coli because it has been inserted with a plasmid NaH7. So now this recombinant E. coli is used for the production of indigo, hmm, by biotechnology. This is called as by biotechnological methods. Okay, got it, all of you?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then coming to insecticidal part. Insecticidal, in this what do they do? Toxin gene from Bacillus thuringiensis is inserted into Synechocytus and Synechoxib species. That is, what are these? These are photosynthetic cyanobacteria that are found in that are food source of mosquito larvae. So they are these two species are the food sources of mosquito larvae. Then Coccobacter christus, an aquatic bacterium. The insecticidal protein is highly toxic when ingested by mosquito larvae. You're getting it? What they have done?
Yes, ma'am.
What have they done? They've taken a toxic gene from Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay, they've taken a toxic gene from Bacillus thuringiensis and inserted into Synechocytus and Synechococcus species. Now, why they have inserted into these two species? Because they are the food sources of mosquito larvae. They are the food sources of mosquito larvae. So when the mosquito larvae will consume this, will take this. So what will happen? They are highly toxic when ingested. So when ingested, they are highly toxic, and finally, it will lead to death of the mosquito. Yes. So it is called as an insecticidal protein. Insecticidal means what? Insecticidal
Which
means
can kill the insect.
which can kill
Kill
the
the insects.
okay, so which can kill the insects. So here in this application of GMOs, one of the application is in the insecticidal field, where they have taken a toxic gene from Bacillus thuringiensis, inserted into Synechocytis and Synechococcus species. What are these two? These two are the photosynthetic cyanobacteria. They're a food source for mosquito larvae. Okay, so these are the food sources for mosquito larvae, and when the mosquito intakes it, okay, when it consumes or it is ingested, what will happen? This protein is highly toxic. Okay, it is highly toxic to the mosquito and resulting into the death of the mosquito larvae. Okay, clear, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Akhila?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that was about insecticidal application. Then coming to bioremediation. Okay, bioremediation means what? Bioremediation means the application in environmental sector. Okay, in the environmental sector, bioremediation is a process of where you use microbes. Okay, where you use microbes for environmental purpose. Okay, so here you are using it for, there are many applications over here. One is microbes used to clean up pollution. Okay, we have studied this in the previous classes. Used to clean up pollution was through what? Who will tell me? Clean up pollution how? Last class I think.
Sewage water.
Yes, sewage water, scavengers, okay, the decomposers, and I showed you about the decomposers also, the images. So all the and the dry waste which is taken up by the organisms, hmm, all this comes under microbes to clean up the pollution. Okay, then is capable of cleaning oil spills. Okay, oil spills I've explained you last time. Remember?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So oil spills are the oil spills that is by the tankers, oil tankers, the huge tankers which carry oil in the oceans. Okay, they tend to spill a lot of oil in the oceans. Okay, this will lead to water pollution. The oil spillage, the amount of oil spillage in the oceans leads to water pollution. So this can be their Pseudomonas species which is capable of consuming this oil. Okay, so this is we have a genetically engineered bacteria which helps in cleaning oil spills. Pseudomonas is an example of that. Then oil contain four main groups of hydrocarbon present in oil: xylenes, naphthalenes, octanes, and camphor. The oil-eating superbug was developed at Generic Electric in 1975 by Ananda Mohan Chakravarti. Okay, so he had developed the Pseudomonas species, genetically modified it, and it was named as the oil-eating superbug. Okay, which was capable of consuming the oil spills. Then in 1980, he received a patent for genetically modifying Pseudomonas butyrabacterium that would eat up the oil spills. So these were the initial works you can imagine in 1980, 1975 means. So these were the initial works which were done on genetic engineering and genetically modified bacteria. Okay, and because he was the first person to win patent on living organisms, so he was the first person who has found out that a living organism can clean up the oil spills. Okay, got it, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is the person first patent on genetically modified organisms. So now, as the years have passed and decades have passed, you have many genetically modified organisms. Okay, you have many genetically modified, and they have wide applications in medicinal and environmental sectors, industry sectors also. But this was the first person to get a patent on genetically modified microorganisms, Ananda Mohan Chakravarti. Okay, in 1980. And he had worked on Pseudomonas. So he had got a US patent. Then the Pseudomonas butyrata, okay, what do they have? They contain OCT plasmid degrading octane, hexane, and decane. Okay, XYL plasmid degrading xylene and toluene, CAM plasmid degrading camphor, and NaH plasmid degrading naphthalene. Okay, so another person, Henry Samuel, produced genetically modified E. coli biofuel synthesizer. Okay, so he was the one who found out E. coli as a biofuel synthesizer. So this is Pseudomonas putuda. We had here they said it like the oil part. It contains 4 main groups of hydrocarbons. Okay, which are the xylenes, naphthalenes, octanes, and camphor. So the oil spillage, when we talk about that oil, has 4 hydrocarbons: xylenes, naphthalenes, octanes, and camphor. Okay. Now here the plasmid we are studying Pseudomonas. Okay, the genetically modified Pseudomonas. So this they contain, the Pseudomonas contains OCT, OCT plasmid, which will degrade the octane, hexane, and decane of the oil part. Then XYL plasmid will degrade the xylene and toluene present in the oil. Then CAM plasmid will degrade the camphor part. Then NaH plasmid will degrade the naphthalene part, which is there in the oil. Okay, clear, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then under food production, under food production, it is cheese making, to produce chymosin. So the organisms which they have used is Rhizomucormidae, Endothea parasitica, and Rhizopus pusillus. Okay. So in case of in the food make production and cheese industry, the different organisms used are Rhizomucormidae, Endothea parasitica, and Rhizopus pusillus. Okay, and commonly used microbes. Okay, the commonly used microbes which are used for genetic engineering are streptomyces, yeast, bacillus, corynebacterium, E. coli, lactic acid, pseudomonas, and aspergillus. Okay, so these are those organisms which are commonly used for under genetic engineering. Okay, so these were the applications of genetic engineering in industrial, medical, agriculture, and environmental sector. Can you all tell me what were the applications I've taken? What is genetic engineering? What do you understand by GMOs?
Genetically modified organisms.
Genetically modified organisms, and genetically modified organism means they are what?
Genetically
They are
modified.
Modified.
according to our user.
Yes, according to our applications, they are genetically modified. Okay, changed according to our genes of interest. Okay, so the genes of interest, so the traits which we want are transferred from one organism to another. Okay, and then coming to applications, who will tell? Hmm? Who will tell about insecticides? What was it? Insecticides. Who will tell?
Bacillus thuringiensis is introduced into Cynocystis and Cynococcus species. It is a food source for mosquito larva, which is a photosynthetic.
Hmm.
When they intake, they will kill itself.
So it is not Bacillus thuringiensis, it is the toxic gene from Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay, the toxic gene from this organism is inserted into these two species. Okay, Cynococytis and Cynococcus species. And this, why these two species only? Because these come under these are the food source for mosquito larvae. And when the mosquito larvae they ingest this what will happen? The insecticidal protein is highly toxic. It enters the mosquito larvae, resulting into the death of the mosquito larvae. Okay. Okay. Then this was told by Harish.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now for the environmental sector, one example who will tell girls. Environmental sector, girls. What happened, girls? Full silent. Nothing was taught on environmental sector.
Bioremediation.
Bioremediation, yes. For example,
Using microbes to clean pollution.
oil spills also. And oil spills. Okay. Oil spills, which organism?
Pseudomonas.
Pseudomonas
Pseudo-
category.
Pseudomonas, yes. And what do they do? Which are the genes in Pseudomonas? What was the
OCT
plasmid?
plasmid, XYL plasmid,
Yes.
CAM plasmid, and NHH plasmid.
Yes, very good. Who is that? Who said?
Harish, ma'am.
So OCD plasmid, XYL, CAM, and NaH. Okay, NaH helps in degrading naphthalene part of the oil. CAM, you can remember, it's easy. NaH is naphthalene. The naphthalene is responsible for degrading the naphthalene part of the oil. Okay, the CAM plasmid is responsible for degrading the camphor part of the oil. The XYL plasmid is responsible for degrading the xylene and toluene. Then oct plasmid responsible for degrading octane, hexane, and decane. Okay, what are these? These are all the hydrocarbons of oil. When we say that they help in oil degradation, and hmm, they help in or clearing the oil spillage. We say that they help in clearing the oil spillage. So how do they clear Pseudomonas? How do they clear oil spillage? With these plasmids are inserted. Okay, so these plasmids will, the oct plasmid will degrade octane, the XYL plasmid will degrade xylene and toluene, the CAM plasmid will degrade camphor part, and this NaH plasmid will degrade the naphthalene part of the oil. Okay, all these are what? All these come under the hydrocarbons of oil, which are there in the components of oil, we can say. Okay, then what else? One more example, environmental factor. Girls, one more example was discussed. What was that? What was it? One more example of environmental factor.
Food production.
Food production. That was that comes under food industry. No, I'm talking environmental example.
In agriculture.
Hmm. Tell one example.
Nitrogen.
Nitrogen fixation. Good. What was it? What did we study about the?
Nitrogen fixing
Tell.
bacteria. Nitrogen fixing genes.
Nitrogen. Nif gene. No.
NIS A and NIS L
Yes.
and NIS
Yes.
are
Nif.
inserted into
Huh.
rhizobium.
Rhizobium meloti strain of bacteria,
They
and
increase
thereby
the
increase the
nitrogen
amount
amount.
of nitrogen fixed. Okay, so these nitrogen fixing bacteria, they generally do nitrogen fixation, but now what they have done, they have inserted these genes which will increase the amount of nitrogen fixed by these bacteria. Okay, then one more example was indigo. Hmm? What was the example about indigo? What was it about indigo? Shiv Prasad, can you tell about indigo? Shiv Prasad, you're there?
He is not present, ma'am.
He was there in the class when you joined. Okay. Naveshri, about indigo, can you tell me?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell.
Indigo is a blue color
Hmm.
that was initially isolated from plants.
Hmm. Now it can be isolated from
Recombinant E. coli.
E. coli. Yes, it can be done with the help of recombinant E. coli now. And because of this, what will happen? It will be a process with, it will be more favorable, no? With E. coli, the generation time is more, the faster, okay, faster generation time. And what? It will be eco-friendly also. So, with the help of plasmid NaH7, they have introduced this plasmid NaH7 into E. coli for producing indigo by biotechnological method. Okay, that is one more example of indigo. This comes under which industry? Textile industry.
Bio-
Okay, this comes under textile industry where it can be used for dyeing cotton and wool. Also used in paper industry. Hmm? Okay, what else? What else? You have told about NIF gene, that is nitrogen fixation, then indigo, then what else?
Human health recombinant therapy product.
Recombinant vaccines. Recombinant vaccines have been used to eradicate rabies. Okay, it's used to eradicate rabies. Then alpha amylase. Okay, alpha amylase was first isolated from plant or animal sources. Okay, it was taken from plant or animal sources, but now used with bacterial amylases. Okay, they use bacterial amylases and alpha amylase of organism Bacillus thermophilus. Okay, so this is one of the applications in textile industry where Bacillus thermophilus can be used for the production of alpha amylase instead of from plant source or animal source. And what is the application of this amylase? How is this used? Amylase.
Removing starch sizes from the fabrics.
Fabrics. This is known as desizing. Okay, this is also known as desizing. Okay. The next one is Saccharomyces cerevisiae, also known as baker's yeast. It produces the hepatitis B virus vaccine against vaccine based on the hepatitis B surface antigens. Okay, so this produces hepatitis B virus against the vaccine based on the hepatitis B surface antigen known as the by name Energix B. Then in human health sector, that was about agriculture sector, industry sector, environmental sector. Hmm? This is about the human health sector. Coming to human health, what it is? For human health,
Human insulin, ma'am.
human insulin. Okay, recombinant insulin was made by genetically engineered E. coli with the help of genetically engineered E. coli. This was first in 1982. Then also human growth hormone. Okay, human growth hormone was produced by modifying E. coli strain containing native human growth hormone genes. Okay, so the human growth hormone genes can be injected into this E. coli and called as modified E. coli strain. It becomes a modified E. coli strain. So you can produce human growth hormone with the help of this modified E. coli. Okay, clear all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
It was about the
Yes, ma'am.
applications of microorganisms in genetic engineering or with the help of genetic engineering. Okay, applications of microbes in with the help of genetically modified organisms known as GMOs. Okay, and they have applications in pharma, in textile industry, in food and beverage industry, in environmental sector, hmm, and bioremediation. Getting it? Vaccine production. Okay, vaccine production. You have examples of. Then you have examples in textile industry. Hmm? Alpha amylase, Bacillus stereothermophilus. Example in agriculture is nitrogen fixing genes, NIF-L and NIF-A can be inserted into Rhizobium melloti. Then indigo, commercially produced blue pigment with the help of E. coli bacteria with plasmid NaH7. Okay, Hafsa, I hope everything is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then in insecticidal. Okay, insecticidal means for killing insects. Insecticidal means for killing insects with the help of genetically modified organisms. Okay, so in this, which organism was modified? Which organism is modified here? Which organism is modified? Akhila,
Yes, ma'am.
which organism is modified over here? We don't know. Were you listening?
Yes, ma'am.
Rishita, which organism is modified here? Rishita, I hope you're there. Don't know. Anjali,
Yes, ma'am.
the example is here in front of you. Which organism is modified by genetic engineering here?
Gynecocytes.
Yeah, yes, good. See, what do we do in genetic engineering? We take the gene of interest from one organism. I've explained, you know. What do? We take the gene of interest from one organism and transfer it to another organism. And transfer it to another organism of your interest. Okay, so that is what is gene transfer. And how? What were the techniques involved? I told you initially. How do you do gene transfer? Which were the techniques I told you? Previous slides.
Transformation, conjugation,
Gene transfer.
And
Electro.
electroporation. Who said
electro.
that? Totra,
Navjashri.
Naveshri, good. Good to answer. So it is, there are three techniques. It can be transformation, it can be electroporation, it can be conjugation. So that is how you do the transfer of your selected gene or your gene of interest from one organism to another. Now, here what are they doing? They are taking a toxin gene from Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay, they're taking a toxin gene from Bacillus and inserting into Cyanococytis and Cyanococopsis species. Okay, so which is getting modified?
Synecocystis and
Gynecocyst
Synechococcus.
and Synechococcus.
So why you all didn't answer first? Hmm? They're taking a gene, toxic gene from Bacillus, inserting into Cyanocystis and Cyanococopsis. Okay, so which is getting modified? This is getting modified. Okay, this Cyanocos species is getting modified. So this becomes toxic. This becomes toxic. So when this becomes toxic, it is a food for the mosquito larvae. Okay, it is a food for the mosquito larvae. And when the mosquito larvae consume these two, okay, ingest it, what happens finally? There this toxic, it is highly toxic. When ingested, the mosquito will die. Mosquito larva will die. Okay, leading to death of the mosquito larvae. Clear? So that is an example insecticidal, which will help in the killing of insects. Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
I hope Amarnath, did you understand everything?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So then was bioremediation. Then it was cleaning up of oils with Pseudomonas. Okay. Then one more example was genetically modified E. coli for biofuel synthesizer. So it was used to produce, synthesizer means production of biofuels. Okay, I've explained you what are biofuels in the last class. Which example of biofuel we have done last time? We have discussed in detail which example of biofuel was it? I've explained in detail the process, everything. Which biofuel was it in the last class? Who will tell me?
Biogas.
Yes, good.
Methane gas.
Methane biogas. Okay, so you don't have to get scared to answer, no? It will be right or it will be wrong, nothing more than that. So if you tell, it's good that you'll remember, no? So you should answer. Okay. So this was one example. Then for cheese making and fruit production, I told you this is Rhizoma curvi, Endothea parasitica, and Rhizopus pilus. Okay, this is all for food production, and these organisms which are usually used by for genetic, GMOs, Streptomyces, yeast, Bacillus, Corynebacterium, E. coli, lactic acid bacteria, Pseudomonas, Aspergillus. Okay, all this comes under most commonly used microbes for genetic engineering and under the food industry. Okay, okay. I hope this is clear for today. So this was one of the
Yes,
applications,
ma'am.
one of the applications of microbes, most important applications of microbes. Okay. Okay. So I'll end the class or I'll continue.
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'll end the class. Any one of you just wait. Let me take whoever are present today. He wants to enter now, Mohammed. Huh? What is the class time? Was he there when the class started?
No, ma'am.
Anyone has taken down whoever is present? My page is not responding. Two of you are present, or 21, I think. Gautam, do you have a note?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Please forward to my WhatsApp, no? Whoever was present today.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. I think 21 of you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 1 minute. I will. Someone has left. Two of them have left now. Okay. Send it to me. I'll end the class.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Two of them have left. I don't know who. Just make a note of everyone who is present so that nobody is missed. 1 second. Okay, we'll meet in the next class.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.